After living on Skinwalker Ranch for a while, the Sherman family had begun to notice discernible patterns in the paranormal activity that confronted them. And the biggest canvas for these telltale signs was always the skies above their heads. In particular, a piece of sky right over a wooded grove hosted a very specific retinue of spooky happenings. Almost every evening, like clockwork, right when the sun was going down, an odd-looking orange smudge would appear just above the treetops. At first, the family rationalized this aerial phenomenon as merely an odd manifestation of the refraction of setting sunlight as it passed over the clouds. But as this phenomenon repeated itself without alteration night after night, Terry's curiosity was piqued enough to investigate further. Setting his night vision-equipped rifle on a tree stump, he used the weapon's scope to zoom in on the orange smudge suspended over the trees. Strangely, as he looked more closely at the group of orange clouds, he could almost look through them to what appeared to be another sky. He seemed to be looking down a tunnel that opened up outside the very fabric of space and time. Was he viewing a doorway to another dimension? Was this tunnel, spanning from one world to another, where the strange vehicles, creatures, and other entities were arriving from?
Just a few days later, Terry witnessed what appeared to be a verification of this theory. As he stared through his rifle's scope once more, he saw a large, black, triangle-shaped craft fly out of the putative interdimensional doorway. This doorway was apparently paper-thin around the edges and could only be seen when looked at straight on. This meant that anyone driving along the roadways near the property would not be able to see it, but it could be clearly observed from within the ranch. Is the Skinwalker Ranch home to naturally, or even unnaturally, occurring doorways into another dimension? Are advanced aircraft, otherwise known as unidentified flying objects, routinely entering our world through these interdimensional portals? If so, the craft weren't the only things shimmying through these galactic gateways. Later witnesses have even seen humanoid creatures stepping out of these open doorways into our dimension. In August of 1997, the NIDS crew witnessed something highly unusual even by the standards of Skinwalker Ranch. It was 3 in the morning, and 2 scientists named Mike and Jim had been manning an observation post for several hours when they saw an unknown light shining in the distant darkness. Well aware that something unusual was occurring in front of them, the men set up a camera on a tripod to capture the incident. As the camera automatically snapped pictures every 30 seconds, Mike peered out at the anomaly through a pair of night vision binoculars.
As the scientist stared in disbelief, the light turned into a circular portal or tunnel. Moments later, Mike shouted in shock, "Jesus Christ! Something's in the tunnel." This was soon followed by the exclamation, "Oh my God, it just climbed out." Mike was watching a large humanoid creature tumble out of the strange interdimensional doorway that periodically appeared over Skinwalker Ranch. With no binoculars of his own, Jim could not see this detail. All he could see was a swirling vortex of light, and that light was now rapidly shrinking, collapsing in on itself, before disappearing entirely. Based on Mike's observation through the binoculars, it would seem that the portal was open just long enough for the entity to walk through it. Immediately after the beam crossed over, the interdimensional door shut behind it. But despite Mike's startling testimony, none of the NIDS equipment was able to pick up hard evidence of this bizarre event. The photos showed nothing more than a distant, indistinct light, and other sensitive equipment deployed in the area to pick up fluctuations in X-rays, gamma rays, beta rays, and the like failed to pick up anything of significance either. The next day, NIDS crew members scoured the ground over which the light had been seen for footprints from the entity that had dropped out of the tunnel, but none were ever found. For the time being, this event rests solely on the testimony of one rattled NIDS researcher.